Take a moment to soften your shoulders down away from your earlobes. And then maybe roll your shoulder blades back towards the back of your heart, pulling your heart forward. And stack your spine. So anchor your sitting bones down and then lengthen up through the crown of your head. And keep your chin level with the earth here. While we stay here for a few moments in a seated meditation, keep your belly soft, your face relaxed. Notice the cadence of your breath in your body. Okay, so just start to blink open your eyes and we're gonna stay seated for the moment. And so the mudra that we're gonna do this morning, so I want you to place your palms together, but leave a slight space, almost like you were creating a bud in your hands. And then draw your hands in front of your heart. So again, it's just like a prayer shape, but just a little space, like you could fit like a marble in your palms. And as you inhale, draw your fingertips up above the crown of your head. Gaze up. And as you exhale, peel your fingertips away from one another and open your arms up into Prana Mudra. Your hands are level with your eyes and ears and your palms face in. Inhale, draw your arms up and overhead. And then exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart, a slight space between your palms as you gaze down. So that's gonna be our pattern. I'm gonna do this 3 times on your own. Inhale, draw your arms up. And you can soften your gaze or close your eyes now. Exhale, open up into Prana Mudra. Inhale, draw your arms up. And exhale, hands back to prayer in front of your heart. So 2 more on your own, just like this. And those of you that practice with me frequently know that this opening movement and mudra will reappear in the practice. So 1 more on your own. And next time you draw your hands in front of your heart, bow your head. Release your hands down and blink open your eyes. So you can stay seated just like you are, or you can come to sit in Vajrasana, which is essentially just sitting up onto your heels with your toes untucked. So you choose. It doesn't really matter which. Just make sure that you're able to sit here. And whenever I come into Vajrasana, I like to lift up slightly and then place my butt back down onto my heels. Take your right fingertips down, and I'm gonna mirror you here in these movements. And as you inhale, sweep your left arm up and overhead. Walk your right fingertips out. Press your finger pads down, and then push your left fingertips up towards the space where the wall meets the ceiling. Good. And then rotate your torso and gaze underneath your upper arm. Take a huge breath in here and breathe to the outside of your left hip. 1 more inhale. And as you exhale, gaze forward and start to bring your fingertips forward and down. Let your palm flip up. And then as you come up, place your left finger pads down. And then do the same thing on the other side. Inhale, sweep your right arm up and overhead. Just make sure you have enough space on either side of you. Press your finger pads down and then push your right fingertips up as you rotate your torso. Breathe into the outside of your right hip this time as you anchor your sitting bones down. Good. In this first round, we hold 1 more inhale. And as you exhale, trace your right fingertips down in a diagonal, palm faces up. And so let's flow between each side. Inhale, sweep your left arm this time. But as you exhale now, immediately trace your finger pads down and the palm up by your navel, and then switch. So it requires a little bit of core in order to keep yourself slightly upright as you go from the right to the left. Make sure that you breathe here. We're going to do this one more time on the right and the left. Okay. And so from here, you're sitting on your heels. And if you aren't already, make sure that you're sitting on your heels. And then just start to walk your fingertips forward. Gaze forward. And then reach forward as far as you can. Stretch your belly across the tops of your thighs while anchoring your sitting bones down. And then soften your elbows and forearms down. And if you want something a little bit more relaxing for your shoulders, maybe extend your arms behind you, the palms face up. So the shape is more of like an embryo shape. And whichever variation you're choosing, be here for about 3 or so rounds of breath, essentially a child's pose. And soften your belly and breath here. One more round of breath wherever you are. If your hands are extended behind you, start to glide them forward and then press up into a hands and knees position. Okay. If you would like to, you can soften or pad your knees with a blanket. And then make sure that your blocks, if you're going to use them, are accessible. Again, you don't necessarily need them, but they might come in handy in a little bit. Okay. Spread your fingers wide. Make sure that there's equal spacing in between each finger. Press into your palms and then tuck all 10 of your toes, thigh bones perpendicular to the earth. And as you inhale, tip your sitting bones up, soften your belly and pull your heart forward. Exhale, press into your hands, knees and toes. And as you lift the back of your heart, gaze behind you. So do 3 of these on your own, this cow and cat motion of the spine. This motion that we all know super well. And allow your breath to carry through the entirety of the shape. And on your next inhale, come into a neutral tabletop here. Okay. And then press weight equally into your palms and start to extend your right heel behind you. Now notice what just happened to your rib cage if it just collapsed down. So press into your palms again, knit your low ribs in. And as you press back through the right heel, all 5 toes point down, especially the pinky side. And then now place your left hand on top of your heart, gaze forward towards the front edge of your mat, and then press your left fingertips forward. So essentially you're in one long plane. Unclench your jaw, relax the expression on your face. One more inhale. And as you exhale, set your left palm down. And then you're going to take your right foot, place your right foot down. And then you're going to essentially glide your knee forward and then step your right foot in between your hands. It might take a little bit of time to wedge it there. And now take your right foot and heel toe it towards the right. Place your hands on the inside edge of your right foot. And I'm going to mirror you here. Now, here's a great place for blocks. Keep your left toes tucked underneath you, and you can place blocks under your hands. You might not need them. You can also just come up onto your finger pads. Okay? So take a look at your right foot, and then I'd like you to scoot your right foot forward slightly, maybe 2 inches. Okay, from here, with hands on blocks or on the earth, start to bring your hips in a circular pattern. And this is a shape that in the pre-postnatal world is called juicy hips. But I think it feels good whether or not you've had a baby or not. And then switch directions. And don't feel any pressure to make the circle a certain size. Just move your circle in space, move your hips in space. Okay. So pause here, and you can keep your hands on blocks or move them off to the side, which I will, just so I can demonstrate this a little bit easier. Okay. And so from here, start to shift your hips forward and then lower your pelvis and pull your heart forward. So you're in a wide crescent moon shape. Inhale here. And as you exhale, press into your right foot, draw your hips back, And as you straighten your right leg, lift all 5 of your right toes, and you can walk your hands back slightly. So we'll flow here. Inhale, walk your hands forward, wide crescent moon. Exhale, draw your hips back. Do 2 more like that. Moving really slowly, waking up the back of your right leg. And this time as you inhale, walk forward and then stay here. We'll be here for about 1 or 2 rounds of breath, and you feel like you can untuck your toes so that you can sink slightly deeper. Inhale here. And this time as you exhale, tuck your left toes, draw your hips back, and we'll pause in this Ardha Hanuman, this half splits position. Okay? And so as opposed to trying to collapse into this shape, draw your right hip back, pull your toes towards you, and then bring your chin forward. And stay here. If you want to go slightly deeper, look at your right foot and then turn your right foot out about 30 degrees. And if you start turning them and your body's like, nope, just lift them back up. One more full round of breath here. And so from here, bend your right knee, plant the sole of your right foot down, and then tuck your right knee underneath you. Come back into a tabletop position. Okay, so come back into that tabletop and spread your fingers wide. And then keeping your right toes tucked, press your left heel back behind you. Again, notice what just happened to your low ribs. So knit your low ribs in, and then imagine you could zip your pubic bone towards your navel. Right hand on top of your heart and gaze forward. And then push your right fingertips forward. So I say push so that you feel that activation on the outside of your right arm. Remain calm. One more inhale. And then exhale, set your right palm down. Lower your left toes. And then we'll do that same kind of awkward transition of gliding your left foot forward in between your hands. And then scoot your foot over to the left and then forward slightly so that you're wide. Okay? Adjust your hands on blocks if you need, or just stay on fingertips. And we're gonna do that same juicy hips pattern of drawing circles in space with our hips. And if you feel slightly awkward, that's fine. There's like no yoga name for this, right? This is made up. And then switch. I like to say that this is like cleaning out the inside of a peanut butter jar with your hips. Okay, so pause this circular pattern, fingertips on the earth or on blocks. And as you inhale, shift your weight forward, lower your pelvis, and then gaze forward. Exhale, press into your left foot, straighten your left leg. And as you lift all 5 left toes, maybe walk your hands back. And of course, a slight bend of your left knee, I recommend if you tend to hyperextend. Inhale, glide forward. And exhale, shift back. One more. And this time as you inhale, as you walk forward, pause for about 1.5 rounds of breath. You can untuck your back toes if you want to go a little bit deeper. So we tuck the back toes for stability, but also it prevents us from sinking. So when we untuck them, it allows us to go slightly deeper. And as you exhale, as you shift back, tuck your back toes, walk your hands back and come into that Ardha Hanuman shape. You have that same option, dial your left hip back, pull your toes up or towards you, and then maybe turn your foot out. And pause and breathe here. Walk your hands forward, plant your left foot down and tuck your left knee underneath you. Come back into that tabletop position. Okay. Step your hands forward a handprint, keeping your toes tucked. And now hover your knees about 1 inch off of the earth. Okay. And notice what's happening to your core. Again, zip your pubic bone in towards your navel, knit your low ribs in. And now keep pressing into your hands to lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. And then externally rotate your upper arm so that your elbow creases face forward. So that your biceps are basically framing either side of your head. And now gaze behind you, gaze behind your heels. Keep lifting up through your sitting bones, spread them wide. Keep a slight bend of your knees and now start to lower your heels towards the earth. Most likely they will not touch. And take a few slow breaths here. On your next inhale, gaze forward between your thumbs. And as you exhale, slowly tiptoe your way to the top of your mat space for a forward fold. And feet about hips width distance apart. That's 2 fists next to one another. Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of an Uttanasana sway. And so I'll mirror you here. So bend your right knee and keep your left leg straight. And then start to glide your fingertips towards the top left corner of your mat. So reach as far to the left as your hips are pointing to the right. So they're going in opposite directions. And then keep pressing your hips over to the right until you feel like you're gonna topple over and then you've gone too far. Start to straighten your right leg, fingertips towards the middle of your mat, and then bend your left knee and fingertips over to the right. In this first iteration, we'll pause and hold this. Keep pressing your hips to the left and then reaching over to the right. So let's keep going. Let's keep going from one side to another. So it's more of a traditional sway, but take your time. So pause in a forward fold. You can just allow yourself to hang forward or clasp opposite hand to elbow point. And gaze behind you. Okay. Release your elbows if you have them. Anchor your feet down. And as you slowly rise up, take 2 to 3 rounds of breath. Lead with the back of your heart and allow the crown of your head to rise last. And once your spine is vertical, sweep your arms up and overhead. Palms to touch. And as you exhale, bend your knees and pour your weight forward, forward fold. And so from here, slide your hands on either side of your hip creases like crab claws. Press into your feet and draw your thigh bones back and the crown of your head forward until your torso is parallel to the earth. Knit your low ribs in and keep your breath soft. Just breathe here in a halfway lift. One more inhale. And exhale, fold, plant your palms and step back to a downward facing dog. Inhale, wave your body forward to a plank position, top of a push-up. And then pause here. Press your heels back and the crown of your head forward. Gaze forward slightly. Inhale. And as you exhale, as you lower onto your belly, you can always lower your knees down or hug your elbows in. Bring your chin down and untuck your toes. Slide your hands back on either side of your chest. Press down into your feet and inhale. Raise your chest and chin up, gaze forward. Exhale, softly lower down. Now with your chin down, extend your arms on either side of you with the palms facing up. Inhale, press down into your feet. Lift your chest, chin, and arms up. Half Shalambhasana. Exhale, as you fold, slide your hands on either side of your chest. Tuck your toes. Press up through hands and knees or plank. And then exhale, bend your knees. Lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. In downward facing dog, press down into the heels of your hands. Bring your big toes to touch. In downward facing dog. Anchor your left heel towards the earth. Fan your right toes open. And as you inhale, lift your right leg up and overhead, 3-legged dog. Okay, so I'm gonna do this alignment cue just for this first round. As you exhale, come up onto the ball of your left foot. Draw your right thigh in and then shift forward till your shoulders are over your wrists, and gaze forward. Inhale, press your right foot up, three-legged dog. And as you exhale, lightly tap your right foot down next to your left. But as you inhale, re-raise your right leg up, same leg. And exhale, set your right foot down. Good. Big toes to touch. Anchor your right heel. Inhale, sweep your left leg up and overhead. Same thing here. Come onto the ball of your right foot. Pull your left thigh in towards your belly and then shift forward, shoulders over your wrists and gaze forward. Inhale, press the ball of your left foot up, three-legged dog. Exhale, lightly tap your left foot down next to your right. Inhale, raise your left leg, same leg. Exhale, lower down. Separate your feet about hips width distance in downward facing dog. Inhale, wave your body forward to a plank position. Exhale, lower down onto your belly. And again, just remember you can always lower your knees down. Untuck your toes. And same flow, inhale, low cobra, gaze forward, hug your elbows in. Exhale, lower. Slide your hands back. Inhale, half Shalambhasana. Exhale, lower. Slide your hands under your shoulders. Tuck your toes. Press up through hands and knees or plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. So let's pause here for 3 rounds of breath in downward facing dog. You can pedal your feet by bending one knee and lowering the opposite heel and then switching. Or be still, you choose. Okay. And so from here, bring your big toes to touch once again. And then we'll do that same flow. Inhale, raise your right leg up. And then exhale, shift forward, shoulders over wrists as you pull your right thigh in. Inhale, extend your right leg up. But this time, as you pull your right thigh in towards your belly, shift forward and step forward in between your palms for a low lunge. And then make sure that your left thigh is fully rotated down so that you can lower your left knee down. Keep your left toes tucked. Okay, come up onto your finger pads here. And then press into your feet and then draw your hands in front of your heart. Okay, so that same bud position with the palms together, but a slight space. Okay, and as you inhale, lift your arms up and overhead. Exhale, open up into Prana Mudra. Inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale, softly lower down and then bow your head forward. So let's do this pulsation with the legs. Inhale, raise your arms up. And this time as you exhale, bend your right knee slightly as you sink in, open up. Inhale, press into your right foot. Shift your hips back slightly, gaze forward. Exhale, softly lower down, and you can stay here. One more like that. Inhale, you're doing great. Exhale, bend and open up. So it's a slight pulsation. Inhale. And this time as you draw your hands together in front of your heart, bow. Place your hands down and then shift your weight back. Straighten your right leg and pull your toes towards you. Right hip back. And then pull your heart and toes towards one another as you gaze forward. So just pause here and breathe. Walk your hands forward. And then now use the strength of your palms and pick up your left knee for a low lunge. Step your right foot back to meet your left for a downward facing dog. Okay. Feet together. Inhale, raise your left leg up and overhead. Exhale, draw your thigh in, shift forward. Inhale, press the ball of your left foot up. And this time, use the strength in your core to step all the way forward and use that extra space that's gained. Okay. And then same thing here, right thigh fully rotated so that you can place your knee down. And I say that just so that your leg isn't wonky. It's not leaning to one side or the other. Press into your feet, lift up, and then draw your hands together in front of your heart. Inhale, raise your arms up. This first round is without the pulsation, just so we can coordinate the arms. Exhale, open up. Inhale, draw your arms up. Exhale, hands together in front of your heart. Let's coordinate that slight pulsation. Inhale. Exhale, bend into the left knee slightly and open up. Inhale, press into your left foot, lift up slightly. Exhale. One more. Inhale. And then exhale, open up as you sink in. Inhale, draw your arms up. And this time as you exhale, plant your hands down, slide back. Pull your toes towards your face. Left hip back, toes and heart towards one another as you gaze forward. And just pause here and breathe. Walk your hands forward. And then pick up your back knee. So you're in a low lunge position on the left. And then step back into a downward facing dog. Inhale, wave your body forward to a plank position, top of a push-up. And then exhale, lower down. Untuck your toes. Inhale, low cobra. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, half Shalabhasana, extending your arms back. And this time as you exhale, slide your hands forward and then stack your hands underneath your forehead like a pillow. And then just pause here and rest for a moment. And soften your belly against the earth. And display your heels open and wide. You're doing great. Just take a moment to pause and breathe. So we will repeat that sequence again, but I'm going to cue the back knee lifted. So you have that same option if you want to place your back knee down at any time. You will be able to follow along with the pretty much exact same flow. Pick up your forehead, slide your hands underneath your shoulders, tuck your toes, press up through hands and knees or plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Bring your big toes to touch. Inhale, sweep your right leg up and overhead. Exhale, step forward. And step immediately forward. Good. And so with the back knee lifted, make sure that it's straight and strong and hug muscle to bone here. Okay, that's critical. And then press down into your feet. And as you slowly rise up, hands together in front of your heart, that same position. Inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale, open up into Prana Mudra. So we'll do the same sequence that we all know. And use the stability in your legs to support you as you move your arms. You're doing great. And one more. I really appreciate this little pulsation as we flow. Just allow it to be organic. This time as you exhale, draw your hands together in front of your heart. Lower your hands down to frame your right foot. Okay, so here's a great opportunity if you have blocks to have them, okay? If you don't worry about it, okay? I'd like you to step your left foot in about 3 to 6 inches and then dial your left heel down. Almost like you were coming into a warrior one, but your right leg is straight-ish. Walk your right foot to the right slightly so you have space for your hands or hands on blocks, okay? Take your right hand against your hip. And I want you to physically move your right hip back. You might feel something along the outside of your right leg. Now take your hand along your sacrum. And I want you to push your sacrum into your hands, almost like you were tipping your butt up slightly. Take your hands on top of your blocks or on the earth. Pull your chin forward, gaze forward. And as you exhale now, you can soften your arms and fold forward. Good. Yeah, it's a pyramid shape. And again, you can do this with fingertips on the earth as well. Just pause here and breathe. Press into your palms, gaze forward. Walk your right foot in the middle of your hands. Pick up your left heel and then just kind of wiggle your left toes back. So you're in a low lunge and you can place your blocks forward. And then step your right foot back to meet your left for a downward facing dog. Great. And as you inhale, raise your left leg up and overhead. Exhale, step forward. So same thing here. Right leg super straight and strong. Hug muscle to bone so that you feel your right thigh super firm. And then draw the crown of your head up. Use the strength of your legs and then hands back into that prayer shape. Inhale, raise your arms up. Exhale, open up. Inhale. Exhale. So 2 more on your own. And whenever stability is involved, I often find it's helpful to stare at a space slightly in front of you. A space that's not moving. This time, as you exhale, as you draw your hands together in front of your heart, release your hands down to frame your left foot. Right foot forward about 3 to 6 inches, and then lower your right heel down. Walk your left foot wide. And then again, blocks or no blocks, it's kind of up to you here. Sometimes it's helpful for the alignment to have blocks and then remove them when you bow. Left hip like a crab claw around your left hip. And then dial your hip back, slide your hand on your sacrum, and then press your sacrum into your hands like you were tipping your butt up, chin forward. Lower both hands down, and then you can soften into this shape, into pyramid. And breathe here. Imagine you could put a plate on your sacrum. That's how level it is. Okay. Press into your palms. Start to walk your left foot to the middle of your mat, and then frame your left foot with your hands. Lift up your right heel, and then wiggle it back behind you. Low lunge. And then step your left foot back to meet your right for a downward facing dog. Inhale, wave your body forward to a plank position. Exhale, softly lower down. Okay. And then from here, untuck your toes, and then slowly rise up, low cobra. Exhale, lower down. This time, as you bring your chin down and extend your arms, you have the option. You can do half Shalabhasana, or maybe pick up your toes as well. Roll your shoulders back and gaze forward, unclench your jaw. Anchor your pubic bone down. One more inhale. And then exhale, softly lower down. And then stack your hands under your forehead and rest in a pranam. And so we have one more flow that we're going to do. Just take a moment to pause here. This is my variation of taking a child's pose. Child's pose is not one of my favorite shapes. I prefer a pranam. What's better than just laying on your belly? Pick up your forehead. Slide your palms on either side of your chest and tuck your toes. Press up through hands and knees or plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. And so we're going to modify our flow slightly and add on. Inhale, raise your right leg up. Exhale, step forward in between your palms. Low lunge. Back leg straight and strong. And as you inhale, come up and let your arms come up and overhead. Exhale, open up into Prana Mudra. Just one round of this flow. Inhale. And this time, as you exhale, place your palms on either side of your right foot. Step your left foot 3 to 6 inches forward, and then lower your left heel down. Okay, so grab one of your blocks if you have it. If not, it's okay. And you're gonna place your block on the inside of your right foot. Place your palm on it, or you can also come up onto fingertips. Left hand on top of your hip. And then press into your foot, slowly rotate your torso like you were opening up a book to the left, and then gaze forward and up. So right leg is straight-ish. It's okay if there's a slight bend in it. See if you can stack your hips. And now extend your left arm up and overhead. Another alternative, which will be a little bit more for the core, is taking your right hand on top of your right shin. Inhale here. And as you exhale, slowly swim your left arm towards the side of your space and then down. Touch the inside crease of your right wrist. Then inhale, extend your left arm up. Exhale, swim your left arm down. One more. So it's like almost like an arm trace. And then exhale. This time as you inhale and open up, pause, and then sweep your left arm back behind you and then come up. Turn your toes to face the side of your mat space, hands along your hip creases. And you can bring your feet a little bit wider or narrower, it's kind of up to you. And then just slowly hinge forward from your hip creases and fold forward. A wide-legged forward fold. Lower your hands down and maybe they come in line with your feet as you bow your head forward. Just pause here and breathe. Press into your hands and gaze forward. Walk your hands forward to the front of your mat. Turn your toes and return back into a low lunge position. And good. From here, lower your back knee, untuck your back toes, and you're gonna swing your left toes to the right. Start to straighten your right leg and you're going to sit back, but release your left foot. So you're coming into an Ardha Baddha Konasana with the left knee bent, left foot against the inside edge of your right thigh. Good. Just an interesting way to get there. Okay. Flex your right foot and anchor your heel down and gaze forward. And then now just start to slowly trace either side of your right leg and reach forward and maybe beyond your right foot. And again, as opposed to collapsing in the shape, feel like you are pulling your heart towards your toes and your toes are pulling towards your heart. Keep this shape active by flexing through your right foot. Walk your hands towards you. Okay, pick up your left knee. Okay. Adjust your sitting bones and then cross your left foot over your right. Okay. Wrap your right arm around your left knee. Take your left fingertips behind you. Inhale, lift through your sitting bones and the crown of your head as you gaze behind you, gaze past your left shoulder. And you can either keep your right arm wrapped or hook the elbow and do this like a Baya hand, this no fear hand, keeping your palm open. One more inhale. And as you exhale, gaze forward. Okay, so uncross your leg. And then whatever way is convenient, we're gonna have to come into downward facing dog. So I vote for swiveling your heels to one side, pressing your palms down and stepping back. We have one more side to do. And as you inhale, raise your left leg up. Exhale, step forward. Ground down into your feet and slowly rise up. And then one round of this pulsation that we all know, opening up into Prana Mudra on the exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Okay, so again, right foot forward, 3 to 6 inches, lower the heel. And then again, a prop underneath your hand, or maybe just take your hand, left hand, and place it on the top of your left shin. And then slowly, right hand on your hip, and then open your torso up to the right. And extend your right arm up. Yeah. So we're in a triangle shape of our body. Inhale here. Exhale, slowly sweep your right arm down. And inhale, trace the inside edge of your left arm. Rotate your torso and gaze up. Exhale, softly lower down. One more. This time, as you raise your right arm up, pause, and then glide your right arm back, come up, turn your toes to face the side of your mat space, hands along your hip creases, and then hinge forward. Okay. And so, with your feet wide, make sure that they're parallel to one another, gaze forward, and walk your hands forward as far as they'll go without you actually toppling forward. So imagine you were coming into a down dog with your arms. Press into your palms and then press your butt back, almost like you were trying to spread your sitting bones wide behind you. Keep your arms straight. Inhale, press into your palms and glide forward until your shoulders are stacked over your wrists, and maybe you come onto the balls of your feet. Make sure that you don't crash your head into the wall. Exhale, press your hips back, shift back. So do this a couple of times. The inhale, it might feel like you could come into a wide handstand. Please don't do that. Exhale, press back. And one more. Okay. So now readjust your body back into that wide-legged forward fold. You can walk your hands under your shoulders. And then just walk your hands towards the front of your mat. Turn both of your feet. Low lunge on the left. Lower your right knee down. And we'll do that same awkward transition. Untuck your right toes. Swivel them to the left and then kind of just sit back. Release your right foot from underneath you. And then plant your right foot along the inside of your left thigh. Gaze forward and adjust your sitting bones so you feel both of them. Remember, we never remove the flesh, right? We just tip our sitting bones back and pelvis forward. And then stretch your fingertips on either side of your left foot. And then reach towards or maybe beyond the left foot. Anchor your left heel, toes flex towards your heart. And just remember that we need flesh underneath our sitting bones. Because our sitting bones are bones. So we don't want to hurt the attachments. So we just need to tilt the pelvis better. Glide your hands towards you. Pick up your right knee and then cross your right foot over your left leg. Wrap your left arm around your kneecap and then anchor your right fingertips behind you. Sit up tall and then twist. And you have the option of hooking your left elbow and creating that abaya hand with the open palm as you gaze behind you. Don't force the spinal twist. It comes from right underneath your rib cage. Unwind, gaze forward, and then uncross your foot. And then bring the soles of your feet together and your knees open wide for a Baddha Konasana. You can let your feet open up here. Yeah. And so we'll take a few side bends and then forward fold. So take your right palm against the inside of your right thigh, left hand by your side. And as you walk your left hand out, push against your thigh as you lean to the left. So essentially, we're increasing the space along our hip crease. And then press yourself up and then switch. And again, just a little pressure, no force. And then come up. And now shimmy your sitting bones back. Fingertips in front of you, and then glide forward. And start to bring your heart towards the soles of your feet. And slowly roll up. And then close your knees like a book. And you extend your legs out in front of you. But keep a slight bend of your knees. And actually, let's all do this. Anchor your heels down and then kind of lift your kneecaps up slightly. And then take your hands on either side of your hips and then walk your sitting bones back. So that same principle that we've been talking about. Okay, just shimmy them back so that the flush is still there, but the pelvis is tilted forward. And then just start to stretch your fingertips towards your feet, maybe beyond. And then again, heart towards your toes. And then don't put any pressure to force your legs to be straight. Glide your hands towards you, roll up, and then make sure that you're in the middle of your mat, and then lay back. Let's all come into a constructive rest position. And I'm sorry I didn't say this before you were laying back, but if you have a block, just bring it with you so that you don't have to get up like you just did. So bring your feet to the edges of your mat and your knees knock together. So pause here in a constructive rest, or as I like to call it, a lunar bridge. So from here, heel toe your feet towards one another so that they're about hips width distance apart, and then scoot them in. Kneecaps point up. Release your arms to either side of your body. And as you inhale, press into your feet, lift your hips up, and then sweep your arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, softly lower your hips and arms down at the same time. So essentially a flowing bridge. Do 3 more on your own. And again, use the entirety of the breath for this movement. And do 1 more. Okay, so this time as you inhale, simply just lift your hips up, take your block at the lowest setting and slide it underneath your sacrum and scoot it lower so it's essentially right underneath your butt crack. Walk your shoulders away from the block. Make sure that your sacrum is smooth against your block. So your block might feel quite low, and that's so if you'd like, you can have this option of starting to straighten one leg out in front of you, but keep the heel down. You can do this one leg at a time, or maybe both. And then once your legs are extended, you can just let your feet splay open and wide. You should feel like your pelvic bowl, the space in between your hip bones, is hollow. So breathe here, relax your belly, and fill it with breath from the base of your ribcage all the way to your pubic bone. Just feel like you're creating one long line. If you're doing this one leg at a time, now is a great place just to switch. If both legs are straight, just remain calm. So if both legs are straight, rebend one knee. Do this slowly at a time. Return back into a more traditional supported bridge shape and slide your block slightly up. So it's in that higher up position as opposed to super low, where you would normally put the block for supported bridge, right underneath your sacrum. Draw your right thigh in towards your belly and then press your right foot directly up, ankle stacked over your hip. And then do the same thing on the other side. Left thigh in, press your left foot up. You're in a supported legs up the wall position. You can point and flex your feet. Maybe draw circles with your toes in space. And then just pause here in stillness in a legs up the wall position.
I actually pulled it.
Take your time, slowly lower one foot down at a time, returning back into that supported bridge shape. And move slowly. Pick up your hips and slide your block off to the side. Just remember, your hips have been elevated for a while, so take your time. And scoot your feet wide and allow your knees to knock together for a constructive rest position. Keep your feet wide and then slowly, like windshield wipers, bring your knees to the right and left. And draw your knees up. Scoot your feet towards one another and then pull your thighs in. Wrap your hands around your shins like a supine child's pose. And you can stay here or reach for the outsides of your feet. Flex your feet and draw your knees towards either side of your body for happy baby. Release your feet if you have them and come back into the supine child's pose shape. Anchor your low back down and peel the back of your head up. Bring your nose towards your kneecaps. And take a huge breath in. And as you exhale, slowly release your legs out. Allow your arms to rest for Shavasana. And as you come into this final resting shape, soften the tops of your shoulders away from your earlobes. Let your palms flip up or down. Let them rest on your body. Relax the muscles in your face, especially your jaw. And just breathe here. I'll call you back momentarily. So you can keep your body relaxed and your eyes closed. Notice the surging flow of breath as it pours into your chest and belly. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch your arms up and overhead. Gather your knees in towards your chest and roll to one side. And pause here in a fetal position. Press your palms into the earth and come up to sitting. And once you're seated, swivel your hands on top of your heart, thumbs hooked, in Swabhava Mudra. Breathe into the base of your hands. Spread your fingers across your chest. And as we bow our head towards our heart, we honor one another. And when you're ready, lift your gaze.